I don't mean to be a jerk, but welcome to North Jersey Jerk, the video series where I, a North Jersey resident for my entire life, point at all the things that are wrong with northern New Jersey and ideas about how to resolve those problems. There are few American collegiate athletics programs worse than Rutgers University's, and it's not just the record on the playing fields. It's the off-field garbage that ought to be an embarrassment to the entire state. That the football team is historically bad isn't the main issue. Yes, it has a sub-500 record since playing the very first game in 1869 and a 13-46 record since 2015. While being perennial losers is bad, so are the beloved Cubs. That's not the big issue. The issue is actually the chronic mismanagement by the university administration and its impact on the New Jersey taxpayers. In the past 10 years, it hired and then fired an underqualified athletic director, suffered through several scandals with its football team, protected and then eventually fired an abusive basketball coach, and is currently fighting allegations of abuse from former women's softball players, and is also wasting taxpayers' money on an overpriced coach that no other school wanted. How Julie Herman, RU athletic director, May 2013 through September 2015, got hired is shrouded in mystery. A series of serious off-field issues happened with her at the helm. More on that later, but red flags should have been investigated before hiring her. Former volleyball players of hers accused her of verbal and emotional abuse when she coached at the University of Tennessee. Those players had written a letter in 1996 that resulted in Herman's resignation. Herman was also involved in a discrimination lawsuit against the University of Tennessee. She hadn't been an AD elsewhere, yet the Rutgers Board of Governors hired her anyway. So after a tenure fraught with issues, Rutgers fired her, but only after paying her $1.1 million in base salary, and then paid her an extra $500,000 so she wouldn't sue them. NJ.com only uncovered the bilking of taxpayers after a lengthy investigation. One of those issues under Herman? The football team was out of control. Head coach Kyle Flood violated academic rules, essentially bullying an instructor to get a player academically eligible. For that, Flood was suspended 3 games and fined $50,000. In September 2015, 6 football players were arrested and charged with felony assault, armed robbery, criminal restraint, conspiracy, riot, and weapons possession. Flood was eventually dismissed, thankfully. The mess was so bad, Rutgers had to hire a high-end law firm, Bond, Schoenig & King, to deal with it. Yes, at even greater expense to the taxpayers. Unfortunately, the situation hasn't gotten any better. In 2019, 8 Rutgers football players were involved in a credit card fraud scam in which the players stole roughly $11,000. The situation with the men's basketball team is not much better. Head coach Mike Rice was caught on video berating, pushing, kicking, cursing, and using homophobic slurs and throwing basketballs at players during practices. When assistant Eric Murdoch reported it to then athletic director Tim Pernetti, instead of thanking Murdoch for trying to quell the abuse, Pernetti fired him. For the terrible behavior and the attempted cover-up, Pernetti and Rice were let go by the university, and Murdoch won a wrongful termination lawsuit for another $500,000. In yet another scandal in 2019, players from the Rutgers women's softball team submitted allegations of abuse from its head coach Kristen Butler and volunteer assistant coach Marcus Smith. These allegations have prompted yet another outside investigation for a yet undisclosed amount of money. The program already committed an NC violation for allowing players to practice more than the allowable amount. In 2019, Rutgers officially have hired back Greg Schiano to coach the football team. Many in New Jersey think this move will bring Rutgers back to glory. What glory? Schiano was 1 game over 500 during his tenure, and his strength of schedule was far below average. Among his first acts was to use a helicopter, an extraordinarily expensive and needlessly extravagant transport, to visit recruits. During that first stint, Schiano was the 20th best paid coach in the country and convinced Rutgers to build a new $100 million stadium in the same terrible location as the previous one. Now, reportedly, he is demanding Rutgers build a new indoor facility and upgrade other facilities as part of the conditions of taking the job. While Rutgers went to 5 bowl games under Shiano's coaching, they were no-name bowl games, including the Quick Lane Bowl, a game currently called the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. According to a Bloomberg analysis, Rutgers football lost money under Shiano the first time, and this is more economic madness for taxpayers. This is not to say individual Rutgers athletes and teams haven't had successes, but their successes were in spite of Rutgers, not because of it. Rutgers has been talking about going big time since the 1980s when it beat Penn State in football one time. The only other time Rutgers beat its regional rival was more than 100 years ago. Rutgers is in the basement of the Big Ten in almost every sport. Rutgers will never be big time, and it is rife with academic and ethical and fiscal issues because of striving to be. Here's the answer. Reduce the program back to playing Princeton in football, Cornell in basketball, and Dartmouth in soccer. That's the answer. Thanks for watching. Until next time, don't be a jerk. That's my job.